Hey there, welcome back to Beacon in the Storm. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today I have a very special guest with us. I have Bryan Shigekawa, who's the founder of the Christian Influencers Convention. Hey there, Bryan, how's it going today?
Howdy, I am doing great. Funny enough, I'm going to go bowling later today with some friends.
Right on. Gosh, it's been a long time since I've been bowling.
Yeah, got to
I'm
get them
actually
pins.
I'm going to go to some services with my family right after this, so we're looking forward to it.
Nice.
Um, so I truly appreciate you coming on, and like I got to go to your first annual convention, which was awesome, by the way. The
Appreciate
amount of
it.
people that was there, the feeling of the spirit that was there. I was moved to tears. I know tons of people were moved to tears. I saw you were moved to tears. You got a standing ovation for it. Like it was a truly magical experience. So thank you so much, Bryan, for putting that on. Why'd you decide to do it? What is your story? What led you to this point?
Well, in 2011 to 2013, I had a comedy theater with a different business partner. So me and my Christian faith, it was very more family friendly, more TV like or better than TV focused. And because unfortunately, most of comedy known as being blue, which is like
Mhm.
filthy or dirty. Are you familiar with the show Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Yes.
Okay, so it's similar to that in the sense of short form improv. There's always short form improv games that people play, and that's what the theater was all about. So then once that shut down in 2013, I prayed for over a decade to find out where does God want me next, and that's how Christian Influencer Convention came to be. I mean, of course, there's a way longer story to that too.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
that's fascinating because you actually told me a little bit more about it this last week when we were having lunch together. Um, but I want to talk about to my audience. Like that's what we're really here for, not necessarily just to talk about the influencer convention. Um, but my audience is mostly men. They're men who feel lost. They feel they don't have a purpose in life. And so I try to lead them to Jesus and as the best I can because I think that's the answer to their problems. And so I want to begin with a simple question, and at least I think it's a simple question. And I'll ask you, what does it mean to be a man?
Huh. Well, are you talking about like, in a biblical sense?
Yeah, in a biblical sense. And be aware, I did send you these in advance.
Yeah. Um, what is it to be a man? I would say, if you're talking about in a biblical sense, I would say to know how to lead the household, to know how to keep engrossing yourself in the Bible, read the Bible daily, and to know how to serve one another and create disciples.
Beautiful. All
Yeah.
right. Um, so your answer was entirely kind of wrapped around religion, and um, I guess then my follow up is why is that the important thing? Why, like, yes, you and I are both Christians, but why is that so important? Why is faith so important?
Well, I mean, the in a psychological sense, people are always yearning for what is my purpose in life? What is my identity? What is that void that's in your heart? You're always going to fill it with something, and you and I living in Vegas, it could be any vice from
Yeah, you can get
either
anything in this
from,
town.
yeah, from sex to gambling to um, drugs to alcoholism. And for me, it's to serve him, to have a higher purpose.
Mm.
And that is not necessarily something that, yes, it could be stuff that could be considered indoctrinated, but at the same time, I've seen so much evidence, so much research that I've done for myself that I do truly believe that there is a God. And for me, it's Jesus Christ of the Bible.
Absolutely. All right, so you set up an entire convention in order to be able to bring people to the Lord. How can we get them to the Lord? I know we had two people who were saved at your event. How can we go forward, you and I or anybody listening, and help introduce them to Jesus and get them to accept him into their life?
The simple answer is just go where they're at. Like for the convention's purposes, it's people are engrossed in YouTube, Instagram,
Mm.
Facebook, TikTok, and whatever other platforms that are out there. And so that's a concentration for the Christian Influencer Convention. But um, in a personal sense, the whole purpose of the company calling it Christian Influencer Convention is that you can be the catalyst. You don't have to have a platform. Your platform is yourself. You could be the one that is the seed or the catalyst to be able to talk to your friend or family that is struggling and getting through things. And of course, you don't want to Bible thump them. You don't want to ram
Mm.
it down their throat. But then there's things you could say to them without citing the Bible, but it is still biblical, as you're working through and helping them out through whatever issue they're going through. And a lot of times people do find themselves when they're hitting rock bottom. And of course, be there for them, listen to them, hear what they have to say. This may take years. May
Mm.
take several years. But I've seen it where the God of the Bible does come in and get them when it's his timing.
Certainly. So I
Yeah.
want to I want to go back to what you just said because it actually leads right into my next question. So you say don't Bible thump them, but beware that you can quote certain scriptural passages to them. So like what is a good way if someone is struggling out there? They don't necessarily know who to turn to. How how can we help them put their trust and faith into Jesus without seeming like we're shoving it down their throat? Is it just by being their friend and then just being a good example? What is that?
Yeah, exactly what you just said. The first steps is just being there for them. That's a huge thing. I'm an extreme extrovert, so it's very easy for me to get friends and talk to people and be comfortable with people. But I've noticed, because I'm on the extreme extrovert side, I've met tens of thousands of people at this time. I'm an older millennial, I and I'm not exaggerating. I've met probably tens of thousands of people now in my lifetime, and hearing their story. And one of the common things is that it's hard for people to get out there and be able to talk about themselves. So most people will have a niche or a very small amount of friends in their circle. So I would say, yeah, be there for them. Maybe you might be introduced to somebody else, and that person does need to hear from you in that personal sense, you being an introvert or an extroverted introvert or whatever it is. And then that's when, after a few months or even up to a couple years, that's when just like after pouring their life, like, hey, I want to tell you about the God of the Bible. Please, talk about the Gospels. Like my favorite life verse is Psalms 118:6. The Lord
Mm,
is on my side; I will not fear. What can man do unto me?
I
And
love it.
that's been keeping me calm throughout my entire life ever since I've learned that one.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask about CIC, specifically the conventions you're going to be putting together into the future here. Who are they designed for? Are they designed for Christians? Are they designed for non-believers to find Christ? How do you see that?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I have the heart for the younger generation at the end of the day. I want to know that I can help with my spiritual gifts, which is leadership, knowledge, wisdom, and helps, to be able to proselytize to these kids. But I'm usually not the one that's going to be up there. I'm the one
Mm.
building this ship. I'm not the I'm okay with public speaking, but at the same time, that's just not my gifting. I'm not evangelistic. Like yes, you can be evangelistic to your friends and family, but not up on stage. I'm not as charismatic, I guess you could say. But for the purposes of the convention, I would say it's more targeted toward the digital audience, which is anybody that's consuming uh, YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. But um, this is out for the masses at the end of the day. This is an outreach program. Like I truly do believe we are going to be able to be one of those buildings or vehicles to create disciples.
Yeah.
out of it.
Wonderful. Okay, and so how can somebody get involved, whether believer or non-believer?
Please go to weareCIC.com or go to at weareCIC.com for Instagram. And that's when we'll have our latest announcements. But yes, we are planning at around July. We don't have secured the venue just yet, but we are looking at July in Vegas. And then we are actually breaking news for you.
Yeah.
I haven't told anybody this on an interview, but we are looking forward to having maybe a Southern California location in October.
Right on. That's
Yeah.
not too far. Hey,
Yeah,
carpool.
one year away for that one. Yeah.
All right. So
Oh, October of next year, I should
next year,
say.
gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so something else that you mentioned, or something else that I saw when I was at the convention. So not only were there two people who were saved, um, there was at least one individual who reaffirmed their faith, and I think that's important because there's plenty of Christians out there who they know they're Christian, right? But then at the end of the day, are they living Christ-like? Are they following the Gospels? Do they really believe? And I think there's some of them out there who are concerned about that, and they wish they could be better Christians. Do you have any advice for them on how to get back into the faith?
That's a good question. I guess for anybody out in your audience who is seeing these interviews, the best way would be one of the ways that I look out when I've moved from city to city is seeing what each church believes in. That's the probably one of the most difficult things to figure out. Like some churches are just like very wishy-washy. I'm gonna call them out. Yeah, I'm sorry. I won't say them by name, but there's just some that are just friend seeking, and I'm like, no, you need to find the ones that are hard hitting. You need to find the ones that are going verse by verse, chapter by chapter, like Book of Mark, Book of Matthew, um, whatever book it is, to give you an in-depth study of the Bible.
Okay, so your advice is to get deeper back into the Gospels.
Yes,
Okay,
most definitely.
beautiful. All right, so we're getting close to the interview here, Bryan. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share? Again, the audience is mostly men who they feel lost. They feel that they don't have anybody there in their life. How can they have a better relationship with God, I guess, is kind of my final question before you can have anything you want to say.
Yeah, I would go back to get in community. The
Mm,
biggest thing for me, I know this is one of the shorter interviews, but long story short, I actually, yeah, if you go to YouTube, we have a We Are CAC page, and they can see a longer form interview of me where I was a gaming addict. Not okay, so I have to explain because I'm in Vegas. Not a gaming addict, but a gaming
yeah.
addict. Like on the computer playing hours on end. And the thing that I missed the most was community. I isolated myself.
Mm,
And more than ever, do I see people going back to the screen, comfort of the screen, closing the garage door. Once they're done with work, they just get engrossed in their phones or whatever. And that's it for them. And that's lethal at the end of the day. You're drowning yourself in nothingness
mm.
where there's just so much more out there for you to be a part of. Yeah, some people will disappoint you, but then there's so many other great people that you could be in their lives, or you could be the great person in their lives.
Beautiful. Okay, so weareCIC.com. What hashtags should they shout out for you?
Same thing.
All right,
Hashtag we are CIC, and then it's ARE, so not the possessive R, but the yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And if someone wanted to reach out to you, Bryan, how could they do so?
Please, if you would like to reach out to me, support at weareCIC.com.
Fantastic. Bryan, thank you so much for coming on today. Do you have any
Thank you for
final
having
thoughts you
me.
want to share? Like, I'll give you that open floor.
Well, I mean, please come. We are planning to have a concert this time around,
All right.
about 2 to 3 hours. And yeah, once we hit the ground running, it's gonna come together very quickly.
I love it. Okay, Bryan, thank you. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for everything that you do. God bless you and all of your endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And for everybody else, I'm going to remind you all, keep looking for the light in the tempest. God will show you the way.